I'm specifically talking about the user entity and behavior analytics, which is a very common use case in cybersecurity of UEBA, where all the users' activities are streamed and tracked and flagged as as they are taking certain actions, right? A user logging in, a user calling certain APIs. All these events are generated in real time and they are streamed. And what we can do is that is where we can use this event-driven architecture and simply just take a simple example. Let's just only try to scan all the login events, right? We're not even talking about all the API calls. Let's just track the login events. All the login events can be sent to our LLM pipeline or our cognitive data pipeline, where we will be looking at for any suspicious behavior. And this suspicious behavior, say for example, John has logged into the system from a location or a country which he has never logged in from before. And this is where the intelligence really comes into picture, where we are adding an intelligence in our cognitive pipeline or our normal pipeline and making it so intelligent that every time I see a login, I just need to run it past all the historical logins which I see John logged in from. Now, this can be a RAG, this can be our simple database, a key value database. It can be anything, but a RAG is a good solution. We can implement it and try to find out all the logins associated with John and where did he log in from. And if as I said, he happens to be logging from a suspicious location, it should start taking actions. And this is where we are talking about agents taking different actions. It should immediately first boot the user from the platform so that it's not taking any other action, disable the login so that until we determine that if it is a genuine login, the login should not be allowed to log into the platform. Collect all the associated events pertaining to this new session, go back to our RAG, try to identify, did we see this location or an IP address in any of the previous RCAs? As you pointed out, that all the RCAs is a set of a knowledge base that we've created in our vector embeddings, which is being used by the RAG implementation. And then collect all this information and go back with all the findings and all the instances that has happened associated with the user or IP address and send it to our security administrator, so that the security administrator can now take an informed decision of whether or not this is a malicious attempt or a harmful login, and should we take any further action. So this is where you can see this knowledge base and RAG really helps you to keep that information updated. This may not really need that real-time updates, but it is also important that we go back and look at the historical RCAs associated to the similar events.
Makes sense. Yep. So when we have discussed about all the positive about having this event-driven architecture, now let's talk about I won't say negative, but more like, okay, when you will be building an event-driven architecture, just forget about in like in terms of agents, like in general as well. Usually when we talk about event-driven architecture, people get really scared because they feel like, okay, building the event-driven architecture itself is very complex because you will be having your producer, you will be having your broker, you will be having your consumer, they're working independently, then logging those information, keeping track of those information, and ensuring those information get delivered on time, in the sequence, etc., etc. Right? So there's a lot of technology evolve around building those event-driven architectures compared to when we talk about having those non-event-driven architecture where you just have to go and consume the message from databases or from application, etc. You're just making an API, right? So people have this concept. So when the question I'm trying to ask here is, so when we're trying to work on the event-driven architecture, and especially if someone is very new in this world, how they should be starting, like what all the best practices or what all the pitfalls they should be avoid when they looking to go and build the solutions.